This is Real News Media TV, coverage you can trust. Please like, share, subscribe, and hit the notification bell. Select all for daily news updates. Bath's women awake to new era of fear. The stark tension associated with the missing girls saga over the weekend in Bath, St. Thomas, is in total contrast to what residents described as a usually relaxed and a safe environment. In fact, they admit that the happenings have dramatically altered the culture of the community. I've been a security guard for over 10 years now, and the last Saturday night is one of the first nights I've ever felt fear, said resident Marie Maxwell. People used to be free, walk around during the night without fear, sleep with our doors open. This has really changed the dynamics of Bath. The source of her terror is the search for fugitive Davian Bryan, the main suspect in the abduction of 9-year-old Felicia Prushaw, who was found Saturday afternoon and who remains in hospital. Commander of the Area 5 Police Assistant Commissioner Gary Griffiths confirmed that Bryan, who is still at large, is also considered a person of interest in the disappearance of 13-year-old Winshay Barrett. Winshay went missing from her home in Bath Saturday afternoon, moments after Prushaw was found alive. As the police continue to lead a multi-agency search for the suspect, community folk are finding it hard to sleep. Since Thursday, upon hearing the news of the missing young girl, the entire community has been in fear. We are fearful of our lives. We don't know what will happen, and for us as females, Donna Marie Fulcott told the news. We don't know if the person going around is using drugs to control his prey. The mother of a 13-year-old girl, Fulcott, said that she has become overprotective of her family since the days-long saga. If she is not with me, she is with my family where she is safe. She is afraid to go outside by herself, especially when it's getting dark, and that's not usually the case, she said of her daughter, who often rides her bicycle in the community. As the number of persons searching for Winshay continues to rise, her sister, Tiana Cook, is holding on to the faith that she will be found. Recalling the moment she realized that something was wrong, the teen shared that they went to feed the pigs when Winshay went missing mid-afternoon. Cook shared that while she fetched the water at one section of the compound, Winshay was tending to the pigs. Former U.S. Secretary of State Colin Powell dies from COVID complications. Former U.S. Secretary of State Colin Powell has died from COVID-19 complications, his family has said. He was 84. In an announcement on social media, the family said Powell had been fully vaccinated. We have lost a remarkable and loving husband, father, and grandfather, and a great American, the family said. Powell was the first African American to serve as chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff and the Secretary of State. But his reputation also suffered a painful setback when in 2003, Powell went before the UN Security Council and made the cases for U.S. war against Iraq. He cited faulty information claiming Saddam Hussein had secretly stashed away weapons of mass destruction. Iraq's claims that it had not represented a web of lies, he told the world body. Jackson raps wholeness for contangorous approach during NIT's debate. Prime Minister Andrew Holness was forced to clarify his position during the closing debate on the National Identification and Registration Act in the House of Representatives last Wednesday. This was after he was accused of doublespeak and of taking a contentious and contangorous approach during his contribution to the debate by the opposition spokesman on national security, Fitz Jackson. The opposition spokesman, during his contribution to the debate, reiterated that the parliamentary opposition was never opposed to a form of national identification. Rather, he said that the opposition was against the approach taken by the government in ramming the bill through in 2017-2018, only to have it struck down as unconstitutional in the Constitutional Court in April 2019. Jackson pointed out that the opposition had taken issue with certain elements in the bill and the government's reluctance to put it before a joint select committee of the parliament. During his contribution on Wednesday, Holness stated that he had learned some lessons during the course of getting the NIDS to the point where it was eventually passed by the House with 14 amendments. But he also asked, can you imagine how far ahead we would have been in providing for our citizens during the pandemic if we had passed the needs earlier. That comment ruffled Jackson, who went after wholeness. In his closing, he alluded to the experience. He talked about lessons learned from this piece of legislation. We on both sides have come to the consensus that groundbreaking legislation, far-reaching legislation, is best served by either party in power when they subject those legislation to collaborative investigation and interrogation to reach a consensus, Jackson stated. He argued that what has happened, as is usually the case in the JSC, is that the bill benefits from not just the input of legislators, but from a wide cross-section of Jamaican citizens at all levels of the society. And when I heard the Prime Minister made reference about how much we could have achieved, I was disappointed when I heard that, because at the opening you said you've learned a lot, said Jackson. Continuing, Jackson said, the bill is a better bill. How could you have learned a lot more if it wasn't subjected to this exercise? That's where my disappointment came in. He added that, Prime Minister, you could have started with what you started with and to finish with what you finished with. In the middle, you were self-destructive because you said some things that were contrary to what you said at the beginning and at the end. That comment forced wholeness on his feet to clarify his position. My earlier point was, had we passed this bill earlier, regardless of the other issues that were obstacles to its passage, if we had done it earlier as a parliament, maybe not this parliament, but previous parliaments, we would have been ahead of the game. That is a fundamental point that is indisputable, he said. According to the Prime Minister, the need for consensus to pass the bill was recognized, and there was a kind of cross-party group that met to discuss the matter. I was under the impression that there was consensus and agreement. As it turned out, there wasn't, and the point is unassailable that with the breakdown of that consensus, then obviously you have to go to a joint select committee, said Wholeness. Jackson would hit back yet again, reminding the Prime Minister that he has been a witness to many contentious issues over his more than 2 decades in the nation's parliament and should have worked harder to resolve the issues. Jackson insisted that with a similar approach, we could have achieved then what we have achieved now. New education programs needed to match emerging jobs, said Morgan. Minister of State in the Ministry of Education, Youth and Information Robert Morgan wants education administrators to collaborate with the ministry to design suitable programs and curricula that will match emerging jobs, while pointing out that new and emerging technologies are predicted to have significant effects on learning opportunities, educational policies, and industrial procedures. Morgan said school administrators should note that the world is in the 4th Industrial Revolution. Science has to be infused at all levels. The 4th Industrial Revolution gives us the opportunity to empower our bright and brilliant young people, as well as our teachers, to ascend to higher heights of scientific and evolutionary accomplishment, he said. Morgan was speaking Sunday at the 29th Annual Conference of the Association of Principals and Vice Principals. The conference was held virtually under the theme Authentic School Leadership for the 4th Industrial Revolution, Critical Connections and Strategic Responses to Optimize Student Success. The minister cited that the 4th Industrial Revolution is the interaction between humans and machines. He noted that in 2018, the World Economic Forum contended that 65% of students in schools will have jobs that do not currently exist, and 47% of current jobs will become automated in this decade. Against that background, he said, all the stakeholders in the education sector should research and develop creative methods that will help students be more prepared in the science and technology fields locally and internationally. Honor our ancestors by taking the vaccine, said Terrelong. State Minister in the Ministry of Culture, Gender, Entertainment and Sports, Alando Terrelong, is urging Jamaicans to honor the legacy of their ancestors by taking the COVID-19 vaccine. Terrelong made the remark while at the virtual National Heritage Week Thanksgiving Church service held Sunday at the Walton Park New Testament Church in St. Andrew. That is how we can honor the legacy of Nanny of the Maroons, the memory of Sam Sharp, Taki and Quo. That is how we honor every single Jamaican and the thousands of enslaved brothers, sisters, and forefathers who gave their lives so we can be free, the junior minister remarked. In his presentation, Terry Long called on Jamaicans to remember Jamaica's national heroes and ancestors who fought for freedom from slavery. So whilst we rejoice today, let us not forget the heroes who paved our freedom in blood. That is our history. That is our legacy. That is our culture that every Jamaican child must be aware of, Terry Long stated. Be the hero that your family needs. Be the hero that your community needs. Be the hero that Jamaica needs you to be by taking the vaccine as we celebrate Heroes Day and Heroes Week, he added. Terry Long also thanked the residents of Bath St. Thomas for the work they did in helping to find 9-year-old Felicia Prussia, who was snatched from her home on Thursday night. According to police reports, hundreds of residents, including members of the Jamaica Constabulary Force and the Jamaica Defense Force, formed search groups to find Felicia. She was found alive on Saturday and taken to the hospital, where she remains admitted. They represent the very best of Jamaica. They represent what a united community and a policing task force can accomplish. They have proven to the people of Bath, to the people of St. Thomas, and to the people of Jamaica that they are good citizens willing to help rescue and find our children, said Terry Long. He said the residents have demonstrated what it means to be heroes, to sacrifice one's time and self in the service of others. At the same time, Terry Long also urged the residents to continue the search for 13-year-old Winchie Barrett, who went missing from her home also in Bath St. Thomas on Saturday. To her family, on behalf of the ministry and the government of Jamaica, we want you to know that you continue to be in our prayers. To the members of the Jamaica Constabulary Force, you are heroes, and we thank you along with the community of Bath for all you have done, he ended. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and hit the notification bell. Select all for daily news updates.